People protect themselves by raising their beds off the ground. But once a Tokoloshi is set upon you, only a traditional healer has the power to banish it. So how is one created? According to legend, a Tokoloshi is born when a witch doctor takes a freshly dead body and performs a dark ritual, shrinking it to the size of a child with a hot poker and spiritual powders before bringing it back to life. Today, some call it a myth, but for many Zulu people, the fear of the Tokoloshi is still very real. If you guys have any personal stories about the Tokoloshi, send them to me. I would love to read them.
Hi, new friend.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's impossible to do nothing, silly.
Oh, I guess I'm sitting on my bed. I was eating dinner with my dad, but he was being so annoying.
Oh, that sucks. My dad is literally the most annoying person in the world.
No, mine is.
They're like first and second place most annoying dads.
Like they go to competitions probably. Like they study each other's moves on video in slow motion, analyzing how to be the most annoying.
You're really funny.
Oh my god. No, so random. I like your screen name, BFF Forever.
Oh,
What's your real name?
real names suck. Hey, I have an idea. You want to give each other nicknames?
What are you talking about?
I'll call you Shelly Belly. And you can just call me Bestie. It'll be like a secret just between us.
Okay. Bestie?
Shelly Belly. Who's that little guy?
Oh, nothing. Just this dumb thing from when I was a kid. I don't even know why it's here.
Well, he's so cute. What's his name?
Pink Bear? He used to be pink. Now he's more like a gray. I think he might be a mouse, actually.
Well, I love him. Whatever he is. Cool poster. I love Pippin.
Wait, you know Pippin?
Of course.
Oh my god, I'm literally obsessed with that soundtrack.
No, Amy, too.
Like, we did it last summer at camp.
Stop. I'm literally dying right now.
And I played Catherine. But I can actually sing even play it better.
I love it.
I'm about to show you one of the most terrifying photographs you've ever seen. So if you're easily frightened, do not watch that. A friend of mine lives in Chicago, and she and her husband thought that they had a family of raccoons living in their attic because they kept hearing all of these sounds upstairs above their bedroom. So they continued calling their landlord, kept reporting it, kept saying, hey, we've got an infestation of rodents or raccoons or something in our attic, and you guys need to come and get it taken care of. The landlord kept putting them off and kept saying, we're really busy. We can't get there. So the sounds would come and go. Sometimes it would be quiet up there. Sometimes it would be really loud. One day my friend is home alone. Her husband's out of town, and the sounds are particularly bad, worse than they've ever been before. And she's sitting there and she's like, what is going on? Like, what could there must be a million raccoons up in my attic. And so she decides to pull the access stairs down from the ceiling, and she's too frightened to go all the way up into the attic because the light that's up there is a cord light and it's a little ways. So she doesn't want to go into the attic, thinking it might be unsafe. So she just crawls up 4 or 5 stairs and just sticks her arm up into the attic and just snaps a photograph. She pulls her phone down to see what's actually living there. Warning. This is what is on her phone screen, staring back at her. He was 7 feet away from her when she took this picture. And mind you, she was home alone. So, yeah. She called the police. She reported it. The police came. They found him. They also found a bunch of, you can't really see it, but right here, there's like a pile of her husband's clothes. He had been going into their house while they were out and taking things, personal effects, articles of clothing, toiletry items. So he had been there for a while. I'd pass away.
You, yes, you. I'm talking to you.
You got 5 seconds to name the most beautiful woman celebrity you know. All right, go
Shout
ahead.
the sauce, the boss, of course, man. Who's in the building, man?
4, 5. All right, finish. You got any head?
Sauce, the boss
Well, let me
in the
tell you that the
building.
woman you named is nothing compared to the woman I got right behind me in this picture. Meet Aisha Kandisha. We're just calling her Kandisha, okay? So, hey, but bro, what the fuck is that? It's not a woman? Yeah, I can see that. She's a creature from Morocco. She is one of the most interesting and scariest ones. Trust me. So yeah, we were talking about Morocco because everybody in Morocco know about the things she and the way she does it. If you remember well, I was talking about women. But why? Well, because Kandisha is a woman. Well, kind of. Okay, but why everybody is scared of her? I don't get it. Oh, because she can go from her original form to the most beautiful woman you ever see. Imagine with me a scenario that could happen. You're walking in the street, you saw a beautiful woman, you're just like, wow. So normally you want to talk to that girl, but the moment you approach, she... Hey, yo, for real, that's your story? You can punch the hell out of her before even she moves. What you talking about? Now, let me precise 2 things. When she drags you, it will be in the woods, in the middle of nowhere, and mostly at night. Second, she is known for not having normal legs. Over the stories, she got goat leg. That means she's so fast. So now we know that she's so fast, she brings you in the dark, and it's her territory, the woods. The 3 things make it almost impossible to escape. That's what made her so popular in Morocco, and basically everybody was scared of her. What if you're not scared of her? What will happen then? Especially that everybody knew what was her weak point. It makes sense, think of it. When you're so problematic to someone, well, he'll find ways to bring you down. So people in Morocco, since she was so popular, knew that she has a weakness, and her only weakness is fire. Coming back to my question, what if somebody is not scared of her, plus he's holding fire? Her only weakness. Let me tell you that this has actually happened, and it's one of my favorite stories about her. Before that, you know what to do. Save this video, come back to it at night so it's more enjoyable like that. Right, here's the story. Listen close. So Kandisha was in the wood. Quick reminder, she lives there. Suddenly, from very far, she sees a weird light. No, Kandisha, she's very smart. She transformed to a beautiful woman just in case somebody was looking for her. So she keeps walking towards the light. Bad news, the weird light was actually fire. But wait, there's a guy around here. Yes, and he's surrounded by fire. She's so confused, like what the fuck a guy with fire is doing in her area? And I agree with her. Remember I told you, she's very intelligent. So, just in case, she kept her distance. So the guy saw her and immediately asked her, yo, you're Kandisha, right? She's so confused. She's like, hey, yo, what the fuck? He's coming to my area and asking me if I'm Kandisha. Is he crazy? So she tries to play smooth. Goes like, who the fuck is Kandisha? Guy, he know what he's doing. So he goes like, come on, man, stop the cap. I know that you are Kandisha. So menacing for her, she has no clue what to do. She goes like, this motherfucker's pissing me off. He comes to my area and put a pressure on me. He thinks you play on reverse. That's it. Well, I'ma show him. So she goes like, what if I'm Kandisha? What you gonna do about it? This man is so brave. He goes like, actually, I have fire on me. So what you gonna do? Oh my God. Then he said, you know what? I'm not here to kill you, actually. So she's like, what? Actually, I'm here to find the truth. Actually, I don't believe in that bullshit they talking about. So do you really kill people? This is a very sensitive moment. Listen closely. She goes like, she responds, even if you knew the truth will actually change nothing. He insists because he knows that he's controlling the situation. So he goes like, man, if you told me, I'm not leaving. It's your choice after all. I was like, oh my God, that motherfucker won't let me have peace unless I tell him. He responds, you know what? I'm telling the truth. He's like, okay, go ahead. Her story has so many details and historical facts that you need to focus to understand, okay? If you remember well, I was talking about Morocco. Well, it was for a reason. It's because Morocco and plenty of other countries were united. So they were so strong. They were so strong that they decided in year 711 to conquer both Spain and Portugal. Guess what? They succeeded. They called it Al-Andalus. Kandisha's family were living in this area. Quick history lesson. This was a religious war between Morocco, who was Muslim, and Portugal. I'm sorry, right here. Portugal and Spain were Christian. So the rest of Portugal and Spain was just this area, right? They knew if the things continue like that, they might be killed. Being Christians, they asked her from another Christian country who is France. Al-Andalus area were living their best life. So the Christians was like, hey, what are we doing? We need to get the land back. Guess what? After so many years of war, they succeeded. Those weren't good news for Kandisha's family. And that is why. The Christians got the land back. Muslims weren't getting the best treatment. Problem is, Kandisha's father, but he wasn't Muslim, so he only had 2 choices. Actually, 3 if you think about it. First option is you're gonna stay as a Muslim, but you're gonna leave Spain and come back to Morocco. The second option is you become a Christian and live in Spain. Third option, who is more of an obligation, you either choose between these 2 options. But the problem is, Kandisha's father didn't agree with any of those 2 options. he wanted to stay as a Muslim and stay in Spain, which was not possible. So they decided to take him, his wife, and Kandisha's sister, and they burned them in front of everybody. Remember Kandisha's weakness was fire? She is scared of fire because she has a child trauma when she seen her family burn. Remember the guy, the one who's listening to the story? He goes like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Say, hold on, I'm not finished. He somehow survived and came back to Morocco. She tells him, and Jess,
all of a sudden she's being overran by spiders, but that just might be the time of the year, but it hasn't happened in years past. Can't wait to hear what y'all think about this one in the comments. As always, send me your scary stories.
On the afternoon of July 18th, 1997, a man was driving down a road surrounded on both sides by trees in a rural part of Wisconsin called Douglas County. There were no other cars on the road, and so this guy was driving pretty fast. And as he rounded this bend in the road, something out the passenger side window on the side of the road in the grass caught his eye. He couldn't tell what it was, but it was a pretty big object. And after he drove right past it, he just couldn't stop thinking about it. Like whatever it was, it just seemed out of place. And so for whatever reason, this man felt compelled to actually stop and go see what it was. And so he slowed down, parked on the shoulder, he got out and began walking along the road back in the direction of this object. And as he got closer, he began to see this object again in the shoulder of the road, and it was sort of obscured by grass and other things, so he couldn't see what it was. But as he got closer, he saw the object was pretty big, and it was all white. And as he took a few more steps and got within maybe 20 or 30 feet, he finally got a better look at this object, and he just froze. Because the object was a man wearing all white, a white suit, a white belt, white shoes, all white, and he was laying on the side of the road, just totally motionless. And for a second, the driver thought, maybe this guy is sleeping. But after taking only a few more steps and getting a totally unobstructed view at this guy, he saw there was a gaping hole in this man's chest. He was obviously dead. And so the driver turned around, ran back to his car, sped to the nearest house, and called 911. The next morning, a Douglas County detective named Stephen Long was sitting at his desk looking at the photos of the dead man in white. This murder case was less than 24 hours old, but already this was one of the weirder cases that this detective had ever been assigned to. The victim had pretty much immediately been identified because he was carrying on his person his wallet, and in his wallet was his driver's license, and so they knew who he was. But the man in white's identity actually made the whole case more confusing, not less. And Mark had no obvious ties to the area. So what was this rich guy doing 3 hours from home, dressed all in white, getting shot to death on the side of the road? Like, it didn't add up. The dead man was 45-year-old millionaire Mark Foster. And Mark lived 3 hours away in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and had no discernible ties to the county. And so the detective was thinking, like, what is this rich guy doing here, dressed head to toe, all in white, getting murdered on the side of some local random back road? But things only got more confusing from there. After the medical examiner did Mark's autopsy, he told Detective Long that he had discovered a note inside of Mark's shoe. And the note just said, Jack Frazier isn't here, but it's Jimmy Bailey or a lookalike. I hope I'm okay. Now, nobody, including Detective Long, had any idea what this note meant. It was far too cryptic. But when they ran Jack Frazier and Jimmy Bailey's names through their database, the police discovered that both of those men, one, existed, and two, they lived in Minnesota, same as Mark Foster. And so naturally, Detective Long began to suspect that maybe those two men were connected in some way to Mark Foster. Maybe they were involved in his murder, or maybe they were actually his killer or killers. He didn't know, but it was his best lead. So Detective Long decided he would just have to go to Minneapolis to try to find out more. A few hours later, Detective Long parked his car at the Minneapolis police station. He got out and walked inside the building. Waiting for him inside was the local detective who Mark had already spoken to. And so after meeting this detective, the two of them went into an interview room where Mark Foster's wife was waiting for them. And right away, Detective Long noticed that she was very pregnant and at least 15 or 20 years younger than Mark. But despite that, she seemed very composed. It would turn out she'd already been told about her husband's death, and she was basically resigned to the fact that she was here to try to answer questions to figure out.
So this girl says something weird happened to her. The weekend came and her best friend spent the night at her house. They spent most of the night talking about paranormal stories and their own experiences, and then they started listening to La Mano Peluda. While listening to that, they said that they both started feeling really weird and scared scared, and they ended up turning it off and just agreed to go to sleep. Mind you, that was the weekend, and then Monday came. The girl says that she's home alone and she hears her friend's voice calling her from another bedroom in her home. She thought to herself that was really weird, but she gets up, goes to the bedroom where she heard her friend's voice, and nobody is in there. So 2 days pass, and again she hears her friend's voice. She hears her friend call her name and say, "Hey, come." Again, she gets up, goes to the room where she hears her friend's voice, and there's nothing in there. Another week comes, and again she hears her friend's voice, but this time it's stronger. This time she actually responds back like, "What?" And she gets up, she goes to check, there's nothing there. There are people who believe that when entities want your attention and they realize that they've got it, it is now hard to let go, and you are making them stronger. The following day after she experiences this, she's sitting on her bed and her bedroom door opens. It is her best friend at the door, about to walk in, and she screams so loud and closes her eyes, and when she opens them back up, she's gone. She gets her phone, dials her best friend's number, and her friend picked up the phone. She tells her friend on the phone, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Something weird is happening." And when the weekend came, she tells her the story. Remember that weekend where we stayed the night and we were listening to scary stories and listening to La Mano Peluda, and then we got scared? Well, that following Monday, I heard your voice, but it sounded far away. This week, it was a lot stronger, and I talked back to it, and then it appeared in front of me, and it looked like you. There was something really eerie about her, though, and I knew it wasn't you, and that's why I needed to tell you. And she asked her friend, "Has anything happened to you since that day?" And her friend was like, "No, nothing." And she's like, "What? That's so weird. Why is it happening to me?" So the following Monday, she gets a phone call from her best friend. "Hey, oh my God, you're not gonna believe this, but I think I just heard your voice in my house. Was it you?" And she's like, "No, it wasn't me. I haven't gone to your house. I'm at home." And the girl who this had already happened to, she was like, "Please tell me you're pranking me. Like, I cannot deal with this right now." And her friend is like, "No, it sounded just like you described, a little far away." By this point, her best friend had heard her voice for the second time, and it was just a little bit closer, but without even thinking about it, she responded to the voice. She said, "What do you want? Just leave me alone." And in that very moment, because of what her friend had told her happened, she knew that she screwed up, and she was about to see something that looked like her friend. She was so scared. So in that moment, what she did is she went and told the story to her guy best friend. After that, nothing happened in her home, and she didn't end up seeing her friend the same way her friend saw her and got really scared. It was almost as if whoever listens to this story starts experiencing these paranormal things.
I have a scary story time for you. This time last year, these two girls, best friends, one of their dads sells their camper van, and somebody is going to have to drive the camper van from one side of the UK to the other side of the UK. And the girls, even though they're 19, they volunteer as tribute. They think it sounds really fun, and they're going to do a bit of sightseeing. So off they go. They're going to drive there, and then they're going to fly home. As soon as they set off, like nothing is smooth.
Who else, man?
Like, this car is literally
Sauce
cursed.
the boss,
They get a flat
man.
tire,
Of
they
course,
get lost,
Sauce.
They hit loads of traffic. So they end up nowhere near where they need to be. And they are both absolutely exhausted. And by this
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to King Saul's boss in the building. About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting.
With them parking there. So they pull over into this road, and by this point they have been driving for hours, and so one of them needs to use the toilet, and they find a little area where they can do their business, and both of them immediately feel like they're being watched, but it's a well-lit area, and so they brush it off. They get back into the caravan and they turn the lights off, and they're trying not to freak each other out, but both of them feel like they can see the shadows of somebody walking around the outside of the camper van, but they're too scared to pull the curtains back. Eventually that stops, and they just think maybe it was teenagers, and so they finally fall asleep. But they wake up to the sound of somebody trying to get in to their camper van. This person is wiggling the lock, so they rush to the front and they pull the curtain back, and there is a man standing there smiling in at them. So both of the girls are kind of miming to this man like, "Is everything okay?" And this guy, he doesn't even reply to them. He's just smiling at them, wiggling the door handle, trying to tell themselves that it's probably just like a disgruntled resident and they don't want this camper van parked outside their house. Look at their phones and they have no signal. So they start to scream at the man to leave them alone, but he doesn't. He just takes a step back from the camper van, so he's like a meter away. He just stands there staring and smiling. And they're so freaked out. They try and start the van, but it won't start. And they can't make any calls to any family because they've got no signal. So eventually they get so freaked out that they actually call the police. And the police tell them, whatever you do, don't get out of the car. He can't get into you. Just stay in there. We're going to be there soon. But this guy, he doesn't seem bothered at all, that he can fully see and probably hear that the girls are on the phone to the police. He just stays there, tapping his fingers, giggling at the girls. Eventually, when he can hear the sirens, he just drops whatever he's holding and he runs off. And the police never find him. But they do find a knife. And that's what he was dragging around the outside edge of the camper van. No idea if that's true. It seems very dramatic, but I really enjoyed reading it. It scared me, so I thought I needed to tell it here.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable.
All right, so I came straight to the car to tell you this one because I'm on my lunch break and we got 15 minutes. So biggest red flag. If the house or the apartment is cheap, almost too good to be true, it is. It's more than likely 9 times out of 10 haunted. Now, let me tell you why. Let me tell you my story. And a lot of my followers have heard this from the beginning because I did tell this story when I first made my TikTok. But ever since then, I've had a lot of new followers. I don't know if you guys went that back. Probably not. So let's just get to it. So I was about 16 years old. Sorry if I'm out of breath. This is a very intense story. I was about 16 years old. I was working, going to school, and I had 2 kids. I did apply for my first apartment because I'm like, if I'm going to be responsible, I'm going to go all the way. So I applied at these apartments that I saw that were kind of within budget, you know. Let me tell you how literally a day later, the manager calls me and was like, bring me $100 for a deposit and you're in. You can move in today. Didn't even ask me for the first month's rent. And I didn't think anything of it. I was 17 years old, trying to get out of my mama's house. So I was like, say less. I'm on my way. No furniture, no nothing. And I went. Gave the lady $100. She handed me over my keys. Didn't even ask me for the first month's rent. Again, let me emphasize on that. And I was like, okay. Start moving my stuff in. Wasn't a lot because it was my first apartment. I really didn't have any help. So, you know, first few days were okay. I invited my friend over. She started staying with me because she was dating my brother at the time. So me and her were very close, and him and her would always come over just to spend time with each other. Well, sorry if I keep doing that. I'm just eating. I'm on lunch. Now, tell me why one morning she comes to my room. I guess she got up early to cook breakfast, and she came to my room and she looked like she had just seen a ghost. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, you have something in your apartment. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, something is in here. You have like a ghost or something. I'm like, you're tripping. Yeah, okay. I'm like, what happened? And she's like, I was cooking eggs, and when I tried to grab the salt, it literally moved out of my hand.
So check this crazy ass loophole I just went through. I nutted in the condom. Put water in the condom. Okay? Then you want to take it a step further.
It that it has no power, it needs to leave. I start to pray, and it's continuing to like hold me down. At one point, I'm able to break free and I like overpower this thing. I have one of those Stanley cups, the dupe, not the real one. I'm not spending $40 on a cup. Next to my nightstand, I start to hit it in the head with it. Once it's away, I say my prayers and go to sleep. I wake up at about 6 a.m. and decide to go downstairs to get my coffee. I go downstairs into the kitchen. I hear what sounds like something like fumbling in the basement, like something's falling over in the basement. And then I look and realize that the basement door is open.
Welcome to my sleepover. I hope you brought your nice PJs and hopefully you tuck your feet into your blankets because I'm about to spend a I'm going to tell you about okay, I'm lying. Some of them might be a little scary, but like you're safe with me. Nothing to worry about.
You're safe with me.
Sauce the boss in the building.
My mother was babysitting my daughter while I was at the doctor's appointment and said, oh no, Grandma, Mommy's not coming anymore today. She was in a bad accident. She can't come with us. I had indeed been in an accident that almost killed me at that exact time. None of my family had yet been notified. A father is laying in bed after just waking up. He grabs the baby monitor and walks to his desk in his office at home. He has his baby on the baby monitor and hears his wife singing to her. He cracks a smile as he hears his wife go to sleep, go to sleep. When suddenly the front door opens up and his wife comes in with groceries. Who the fuck is singing? I watched a few kids while their parents were at a movie. I put the youngest kid, 4, to sleep and watched TV till the parents came home. The next day, the parents called. According to the 4-year-old kid, I stood in the doorway and stared at him for a very long time, smiling. I was so confused, I didn't know what to say. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? When my nephew died unexpectedly, getting hit by a car, I knew my daughter would be devastated. They were best friends, almost inseparable. She knew that he had stayed in the hospital for a week or two, but she didn't know he had a rare chance of survival. Honey, I walked in the bedroom. Your cousin, I'm sorry. I trailed off. He sadly passed away. She then gave me a look, strange look. Oh, she said, I knew that, Mommy. He stood by my window last night. He died at 12:03 a.m. yesterday. He went and said goodbye.
My wife has been peeking at me from around corners and behind furniture. It's gone from weird to terrifying. My wife Lynn and I have been together for 6 years and married for 11 months. Our entire history together has been very normal, and never once have I ever noticed any weird behaviors or red flags. I can't stress enough how out of character this is for her. Lynn is very kind, intelligent, and thoughtful. She's always been the no-nonsense type of person. Being childish or trying to scare me is not something that she'd normally do. She doesn't even like watching horror movies. When we first started dating, she agreed to watch The Shining with me because she knew how much I loved horror. She was so scared that she didn't even make it through half the movie before we had to turn it off. She isn't into anything creepy and has never been into pranks. It's just not her cup of tea, and that's fine, but that's what's so strange about this. It's just so unlike her. I should also add that she's never had any mental health issues as far as I'm aware, and it doesn't run in her family. I know some people are able to hide their mental health problems, but in the 6 years we've been together, I think I'd have seen some sort of sign. 2 months ago, I was in the kitchen making myself some coffee before work. I was running a bit late that morning, and I knew I wouldn't be able to make it to Dunkin' Donuts for my usual morning fix. I took a sip of my coffee as I hurried down the hall towards the front door, when I happened to notice Lynn peeking at me from around the corner ahead of me. I could only see her eyes and a strand of her long dark hair hanging against the wall. The rest of her body was concealed behind the corner, and I nearly spilt my coffee when I saw her. "Geez, Lynn," I said, wiping a few drops of coffee off my pants, "you scared the shit out of me." She immediately popped out of view like a little kid that had been caught. I heard her scurry off towards the living room, and by the time I got to the front door, she was out of sight. It was really weird and just totally out of character for her, like I said, but I also found it funny that she was trying to be more playful and a little less serious. I shouted that I loved her and called her a weirdo. As I shut the door behind me, I heard her laughing. Her behavior was a bit odd, but it certainly wasn't something to call a priest over. I forgot about it by lunch, and by the time I got home, she was her normal self. I didn't bring it up, and neither did she, and life went on. The next incident happened 3 days later. It was around 2 a.m., and I had woken up to get a drink. I was standing at the kitchen island, jug of OJ in hand, when I felt a strong feeling that I was being watched. For whatever reason, I looked down at the floor and saw my wife's smiling face staring back. She was peeking at me from the other side of the island, staring up at me with wide, unblinking eyes and grinning like the Cheshire Cat. I screamed, I'll admit it, not out of irritation, but fear. For some reason, at that moment, I was scared. At the sound of my scream, Lynn scuttled backwards out of my view, her hands and feet smacking the tile floor as she hurried out of the kitchen on all fours. I didn't run after her or even yell after her. I just stood there, frozen in shock, wondering what the F had possessed her to do that. It took me a little longer than I'd like to admit to go back upstairs, but I eventually did. When I got to our bedroom, Lynn was lying on her side asleep, or at least pretending to be. I stood there for a while, watching her breathing to be sure that she was really asleep. I had the feeling that she might jump out at me at the moment I got into bed, but she didn't. I climbed into bed and she didn't even move. Her breathing was soft and deep, and I was starting to wonder if I'd dreamt the whole thing. Come back for part 2.
Imagine going to a wedding full of people only to realize that these right here are not humans like us, and you're basically trapped in a room full of jinns. That's exactly what happened to this woman right here. Her name is Nora, aka the Beyonce of Kuwait. Yes, this story takes place in Kuwait, by the way. Nora was basically a famous singer there, okay? Her and her band used to sing traditional stuff in weddings. Another way to say it, she was like a celebrity there, okay? You call her for your marriage, she comes, she sings, and then she leaves with money. You're probably like, okay man, this sounds like an amazing job. I mean, imagine going to a marriage, having fun, people recognize you, people are a fan of you, and you get money for singing a couple of songs. No, it was amazing until a terrifying thing happened to her and made her quit her job and be traumatized forever. Now, before I tell you what happened, you know what to do. Save this video and come back to it at night so it's more enjoyable like that. But one day, Nora got a call. She was like, man, should I pick up? I don't really work today. You know what? Let's pick up the phone. Hello? Oh, the person calling her was a woman, okay? And she basically said, hello? Is this Nora? The famous Nora? So Nora basically responded, oh yeah, thank you so much. That's me, the famous Nora, yeah. The woman on the phone basically said, oh my God, thank you so much for responding. Everybody loves you here. Can you please show up to my daughter's wedding tonight? So this is when Nora responded, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I don't work today. I'm really sorry. The woman on the phone started begging her, okay? She was like, please, this is my only daughter. Can you please show up tonight? She loves you so much. When Nora heard this from the woman calling, she was like, oh my God, these people are annoying. Okay, you know what? I'll make an exception for you. I want to see your daughter happy tonight. So Nora ended up accepting, okay? The woman gave her the address and she told her to come, her and her band, at 10 p.m. Well, Nora and her band finally made it to the house at 10 p.m., okay? And before even entering, Nora was like, okay, I'm sorry, I did bring you here, but come on. I know that nobody works today, but we gotta do it for the love of the game. Her band basically responded, oh, come on, don't sweat it, Nora. You know, we want to make people happy, right? It's only a marriage after all, right? Nora and her band finally made it inside the house, and the first thing they noticed is that the house from the outside looks normal, right? But from the inside, it's something. The house was really bigger than they expected, okay? And the decor was really noticeable, okay? Somebody did their job on the decor. You know, Nora and her band were amazed. They were like, wow, this is by far the biggest house we'll perform in. While the band was examining the inside, the woman came. Remember the woman who told her to come here in the first place? The woman who begged her to show up for her daughter, blah, blah, blah. Yes, she came. She was like, oh my God, Nora, I'm a big fan. And you know, she wanted to shake her hand. When Nora saw her, she was like, oh, what's up? How are you? Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. This is your daughter's wedding? Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's about to be amazing. She shook her hand. Nora noticed something, okay? The woman's hand were dry, okay? And it was not moving. You know how humans' hand move? Her hand was not moving, and she could feel her bones. When she felt that, she started having a little doubt, okay? She was like, okay, I've never seen something like this before. I mean, okay, you know what? I'm not judging. And she was not trying to scare her band either. So she was like, okay, to the woman she was speaking, she was like, where do we perform? The woman responded, you see, we love you so much. We do appreciate you so much for coming. So we prepared everything. You do perform in that corner over there. You see it? Yeah. Oh, Nora responded, oh, okay, that's really sweet. You know, thank you so much. Yeah, let's go over there. Yeah, okay, see you there. In this corner right here, Nora and her band started performing, okay? And what a performance. Everybody was loving it. Everybody was shaking their heads, vibing like, Nora and her band, while singing, they were feeling the energy. They were like, yeah,
Shout
okay,
the Sauce,
that's what
the
we're talking
boss,
about.
of course,
that's
man.
the
Who's in the
type of vibes we
building,
like.
man?
You know,
Shout the Sauce.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to King Sauce Balls in the build. About you.
Who else,
Nobody was
man?
dressed in the typical wedding clothes of today, if you know what I mean. Everybody was dressed like the 17th century. So Nora was like, what the hell is going on? Nora told herself, okay, that's weird. You know, she kept singing. She was still giving some side eyes, but you know, she kept singing. I don't know the song she was singing. I wasn't there with her, but she was singing something like, I'm alone ashamed. What? I'm alone ashamed. Let me sing. See, meanwhile, Nora was singing. One of her band members started tapping her shoulder. And you know, she's trying to communicate but sing at the same time. She was like, the band member was trying to get her attention was the one playing guitar, okay? And he was like, look at their legs. Look at their legs. Nora was like, what do you mean their legs? Shape of, hey. This is what Nora saw. Goat legs, and she understood that from the beginning she was not with humans. Yup, she's singing with jinns. You don't know what a jinn means, scary creature. I talked about him in my first post. Go check it out. But when Nora saw this, she was in shock, but she kind of knew that something was wrong from the beginning, you know? Remember when she shook hands with the woman who invited her? Yup, in that moment she felt that something was not right. Nora and her band kept performing, okay? They were not trying to get suspicious, but you know, their voices kept getting low and they started thinking about this.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can. First up, let's talk about AI.
What's the freakiest thing you've seen?
Once again, there's more talk online about 3I Atlas, the so-called comet or mothership, depending on who you ask. The whole situation has gone from curious to completely absurd. Now scientists are advising everyone to take a vacation to spend as much time as possible enjoying life before October 29th, because something drastic is supposed to happen on that date. No one seems to know exactly what's coming. Some say it's an alien invasion, others think it's the end of the world. The truth is, nobody has any solid evidence, but the panic is spreading fast, and the part that makes it even funnier or sadder, it's already the 29th, and most of us haven't even gotten our salaries yet. So how recent